area, that's all.
For 2 months thereabout. We've been meeting in my office on Wednesday mornings from 10 to 11 concerning things and being who I am, I got the educational part of it being that I'm on the school board. So anything that's dealing with education, I've been sending people to like Sam Abrams, and I found out the Wilsons who I don't know if you know this, but his son is a doctor, medical doctor, and his daughter is a school teacher. And then the Stevensons with Teresa and all of them, and then with the Goodalls, and what she do, what her group doing this is really three of them. That's another girl that's missing, Carrie, right? No, you Carrie, Carla. Carla is missing. Carla's from Indianapolis, and then there's Dan, a guy who just normally take pictures, but he bounces around to all the various groups, and what they do, they take photos. He takes photos and stuff. But he'd been more interested in, to me, the basketball part of it. So he traveled with the Central. Coach Harold let him travel with the Bearcats, and he could, he take pictures and ride on the bus with them and all that kind of stuff. So he kind of likes that. But he missed it.
Southside?
He don't care nothing about Southside.
Well, that's not fair.
Central kind of got the history.
So?
Yeah. Well.
That doesn't matter. There's more than one high school. That's discrimination to me.
Well, the first game they went to, I think it was Southside and Central, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And they really got a chance to see which was the real basketball team. That night should have, huh?
Central was sloppy.
I'm mad about that.
Huh?
I said I'm mad about that.
Oh yeah. Well, he's not here anyway. But anyway, I guess Carrie. I need to get my report. I found out from you just the other day. The last 6 pages was.
Yeah, I've got a new copy for you.
Okay. Hard copy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So that's what some of the changes that they made. And Carl and I have started to go through and look at some of the suggestions that they've made. And they want us, right after our introduction, which we've just started working on in a little bit. We haven't done very much. Mm-hmm. Right after our introduction, they want us to introduce you and Dolores and kind of your role and all the people that you linked us to, so that the reader kind of understands what our relationship with you was, what our relationship with the community was, and what all of our interviewees' relationships with each other were. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be added in. We're working on it.
Okay.
And then we'll bring you another draft.
African American staff in the Muncie Community School System. Mm-hmm. Black teachers were not hired until 1950. Mm-hmm. Geraldine Evans, Fairley. You know her, Belinda? Is that Miss Fairley?
Her name's not Geraldine. Her name is Augustine.
Yeah, that's right. Well, nevertheless, now I think what we need to do, and the way we're in here, and I know you done heard a lot from me, and I hopefully I have been very communicative with you in terms of sharing some information and really putting you in the presence of people that can not only help you, that kind of know the journey. Mm-hmm. And it's just too bad that it's got to end with them, because I just got a couple, the Joneses right here, who are celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. And she knows all of this stuff, But then again, she was born in Princeton, Indiana. Mm-hmm. And she went to an all-black school and graduated, was only 6 in her graduating class. And she just have a remarkable story, and one that, but then again, it's not really dealing with here in Muncie. Mm-hmm. We want to deal with what's right here in Muncie. Okay, where would you like to start?
I know a little bit of your background, but I was wondering if I could get to know you a little bit better, Mrs. Anderson. Are you from Muncie originally?
Yeah. And
are your parents from Muncie too?
No. Or? My dad is. My mother's from Mississippi. She was born in Mississippi.
Okay. What schools did you go through when you were coming through the system here?
I went to Garfield, Wilson, and Southside, and that's why I'm mad. See, that's what's wrong with this city. They don't recognize Southside. They want to give everything to Central, and that's unfair. They look down at Southside, and that's why I feel like South should be mentioned. So, I'm sorry, but we're products of Southside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I said, I just don't think it's fair.
Well,
that's how this city is, and I think it's wrong.
we were hoping to get into the schools and go to Southside. Carl and I were, and shadow some teachers, but we had some problems with Mr. Gorns was doing like teacher evaluations, and so we couldn't get in before spring break. And now after spring break, we're not supposed to collect as much data because we're supposed to work on writing.
Okay.
So we have a lot about Wilson though, feeding into Southside. So the south side of the city won't be completely neglected. We're taking care of it.
Well, I don't, and somewhat, I really didn't involve Belinda a lot in this. Maybe I need to kind of give you some little background in why they're making or writing this book. What's the year? Is that 1920?
25 is when they did the study. Yeah.
Okay, they did a study on Muncie, Middletown, Indiana, and when they did publish this book, it basically told about one-sided, just the white side, and but there's another side or the other side of Muncie which was never told, and that was our side of it and our journey and our education system and how we derived where we at, and that's what this book is coming through. It's about, But and there's the religious side of it. I mean, there's the Christian. How many different the Christian side of it?
Yeah, there's 6 different groups.
6 different groups.
Business, making a home, using leisure, religion, and community activities, and then us.
My group is basically on the educational part. So that's what we're going to focus on. The educational part, and but somehow that's why we're gonna have another group gonna come, and the only thing they're gonna do is just watch us tomorrow, and they're gonna do on the marriage thing. This is their highlight. I think will be one of them, because I kind of pumped them up in our area. I kind of got a little scrapbook. I can show you some pictures prior to you leaving, that you can see some things what I'm talking about, because I'm gonna put it on a disc tomorrow and share it with the rest of them. So. This is where we at. That's what we're dealing with. But Belinda, you kind of got to admit, the Muncie Central was the only school back then.
That's true. I mean, we're talking about then and now, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's different. So, I mean, anyway, let's go
on. How do you feel that family is important to education?
How do I feel that family is important to education? I think that parents being there for the children. I think that coming home to or not coming home to an empty house makes a difference. I think that parents need to get involved with their children. We're seeing a lot of parents who are not involved. We talked to a lady the other night. We went to Central, and she was saying that for Southside or something like that, that the parents they're not getting involved.
Is she picking up her voice? Is kind of,
yeah.
Is it?
I know that parents are busy, but that's important to children too. I think that their parents be there to support them. I think that encourages the children even more so to go forward in whatever that they're doing or participating in.
How was your family involved in your own education when you were coming through the schools?
Most of the time when I came home, someone was there. I can't say that they were there at the things that I participated in. My mom worked evenings, 3 to 11. And my dad, he was a fireman, so he'd work like one day, then he'd be off, then he'd work another day, then he'd have like 4 days off. There were 7 of us, so I guess him having to stay home maybe with the younger ones, I went and did my thing. But that didn't discourage me, it really didn't bother me too much. And maybe some children it does, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me. But they supported me by allowing me to do it. I consider that support as well. And they always encourage us to do our best and to get education. they would always tell me that, once you get your degree or your diploma, that's something no one can take from you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was encouraging.
How much did education mean to you, to your family?
We're seeing that it means a lot. Of course, it helps you, to get a better job.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage our children to try and, to get education beyond high school. Seems like
mm-hmm.
it takes, more than high school to get somewhere. We'll put it like that. So yeah, it's definitely important to us.
How have you been involved in your children's education? Jay said that you've always been pretty much the leader in the family.
The homework person. Yeah, I'm the one that basically helps with the homework. In whatever way that I can. If they're at school and they need books or whatever and they can't get to the library, they tell me what they need. I'll go pick that up. I'll pick up movies, whatever it is that I need to get,
mm-hmm.
Throw out my 2 cents or ideas to see what they think. Help them just to, to be there to help them with projects and things
mm-hmm.
like that. So, there's some, I don't even not claiming to know everything, but what I do know, I try to help them with. Make sure they get into tutoring programs if they need that. Make sure that they get into summer school if they have to go to that.
Mm-hmm.
If they need to be in remediation classes, make sure they get into that. So
mm-hmm.
talk with the counselors and things like that. So.
What about you, Jay?
What's that now? Okay, I'm sorry.
How have you been involved in your family's education?
Well, most recently, I have taken a very active part in it, but it's unfortunately I was basically the disciplinarian when they got in trouble at school. I was more in that part of it,
mm-hmm.
but the simple fact that there were 2 people in the house, and we both, somewhat attended college, made a significant difference in our children, because every kid who have come out of our house have went on to a higher education. Mm-hmm. So they just did not stop at the high school level, but they went on to college. So I think that's a step up from the both of us, who we didn't automatically, after we gotten out of school, go into college, because we started a family fairly early.
Mm-hmm.
So, but our children so far have at least had a year or more of college. So we're happy about that. I would say my role, being in the family, being that I'm just the opposite. I work 2 jobs, basically, and Belinda kind of did the homework part of it. I did do something. We had what we call a family meeting
mm-hmm.
in our house, and that's only because of the fact that there was a big family. I basically raised our sister. We had her since she was 7. She's 28 now, or 27 now, and that's the button I'm wearing right here.
Mm-hmm.
We had her, and then the family was it was 4 children, and what we had to do is had to communicate. So once a week or on Sunday evening, this time we would have what you call a family meeting, where we get together and we have a quick devotion, and then we talk about things that's going on and I would find out about things then, the field trips coming on and the things, we need extra money for this, or
mm-hmm.
can we participate in it. I would find out more things out of that, and then out of report cards and however else I could be beneficial to them. But I have always bowed down to my wife and gave her the utmost respect when it came to, because I have always felt that she was better at that particular area than I was. Not degrading myself, but I gave her honor in that area. And whereas I was out doing more of the breadwinning things,
mm-hmm.
So, but it all worked out together, and our children, to me, and thus far, they're doing a pretty good job, And there are some challenges. Not everybody's straight A, but each one of them I have found. Belinda, would you say that each one of them are different? Every one of them are different, and they require special needs. I mean, just in different areas. So that, but I believe that they have done better than I have because of the fact that they have had two parents in the household. Mm-hmm. Now, Belinda, she had two parents. I had single parent, and I see the difference. Mm-hmm. And what we do as a parent, you know, even right now, because we still have a son in school, we try to support them in their school activities, whether it's open house, whether it's the activities they're doing, in talent shows or whatever. We try to support them, and that makes a difference in their life.
Mm-hmm. What does Brenton want to do? Does he want to go on to college? And
would you like to ask him, or do you want us to ask? You know, I mean, I could bring him in here, but I didn't know how you want to do it.
If he wants to talk, I don't know.
Hey, Brent! Think that picked that up? Yeah. I think it's, you know, I can sit up there because I already know the answer to that because we discussed it not too long ago. Mm-hmm. But it would be more accurate coming out of his mouth. Hey, Brent! Yeah. What's wrong? Just country, huh?
No.
Yeah.
Just like my house. Only my dad yells the wrong name up the stairway. Trina? No, I'm Carrie.
Yeah. Come on, have a seat for a minute.
No.
He's talking on the phone. Yeah. Well, God, kind of wish Carla was here so she can get a chance to meet my wife. See, here's the thing about it. She absolutely know nothing about you guys, but you know, in the meetings, I be talking smack, don't I? Yeah.
Smack about her?
Well, I mean, talking good things. It's good things.
You always say wonderful things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Hey, Brett, come on, have a seat for a minute. We at this point in time, and I think that you need to be here to address these questions. And again, you know, this is all about the book. You was kind of with Mr. Wilson's house when we started this. But we talked from the parents' perspective, you know, how was it raising our children and all of that. And I said, oh, by the way, we still got one son at home. They said, well, and this is all about education. So the question arrived, what does Brent want to do after he get out of high school? So now you can come in and tell us or tell her what you want to do. You got to talk loud because this, let me see. Yeah. You got to talk loud because this mic. You always want to, you know, Daddy like these things. Ooh. Ghost good.
Okay, so just...
What do you want to go on to college? What kind of careers are you interested in?
Okay,
Is that picking up?
Yeah, I do want to go into college. What I'm planning to study, I guess Ball State is one of the...
What's that? You want to go to Ball State?
I don't want to. I don't like... I mean, and I know it is, but I don't want to stay in Muncie. But that's like around, only I can afford and everything, but... Yeah, probably telecommunications, theater, get into that. That's what I plan to do and get into. Well, I like music, so that could be something else.
What about acting?
Yeah, acting, that's theater. That's what that is. So that's what I plan to do.
How did you develop these kinds of interests with your education?
Well, at school, I'm in band and choir, so I took mass media and theater. I'm getting back in that next year, so that's what I'm doing with that.
Have your parents and your older brother and sister helped you to develop these interests and like supported you in this?
If anybody, it'd be my sister, maybe, if anybody.
What about your dad? I mean, in acting and stuff?
No.
Yeah, I got to give it to Quay. Quay, you know.
If anybody, it would
I
be
think
my
so with
sister.
Quay. She was just in everything. You think so, Belinda?
Yeah, she was in a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she's more like her daddy than anybody. All right, go on, man. I won't steal all your time.
You mentioned that you didn't want to stay in Muncie for college. Do you think you might want to come back after you get out into the workforce?
No.
Never?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, I do, but I don't feel that it's not a lot of opportunities to me, in my opinion, here. I mean, I feel that I need to move out and get on somewhere else, because I like Muncie, but I like the city.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big city person.
Yeah.
I like that. So.
If
Me too.
maybe Muncie doesn't have or won't ever develop too many opportunities with acting or with big time music, but if you could get maybe like a telecommunications job with a local station, would you stay in Muncie if you could get that kind of job?
Radio, yeah, I'd do that.
What is it that you like about Muncie? And what is it that you don't like about Muncie?
Let me just dump first. I don't like that. It's small.
Uh-huh.
That's what it is. But I do like people are alright. I know I do want to go into the big city, but you know it's good, the traffic and everything. That's perfect. I do. It's an alright place. But I don't. It's not hot all the time, warm all the time. But
don't like the snow?
No, I don't like the snow. Shovel, no, I don't like it.
How do your friends and people that you know at school feel about Muncie? Do you think that if they had opportunity here that they would be willing to stay?
My friends, most of them, they're pretty much the same. They want to get out and go on. And, get out of Muncie. Most of my friends do. Pretty much the same thing, same way I feel. But it's alright for what it is. But.
What does education mean to you? How important is it to you?
It's important. Jobs, to what you want to be. That's in life. That's what it counts on, your education and everything. So that's what everything depends on. If you want to make it somewhere, I guess.
How do you guys feel about Muncie Public Schools? Do you think that they're doing a good job educating Muncie's youth? Or do you think they could do better? Are there areas that it could improve in?
I feel it could do better because I'm a student and I know.
And what's wrong with it? What suggestions can you make?
I don't know, so some of the teaching habits that they have aren't good, but you know, every teacher is different, but some of their teaching habits can be
like what?
Strange. Like what do they do? It's not normal. It's very different. I know every teacher has their own different agenda, but some of it has nothing to do with what you're supposed to be doing. So that's how I feel.
You go to Central, right? Okay. What do you guys think, as a parent's perspective? How do you think Muncie Community Schools are doing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when you look at the reports, when you go to the school board meetings and you see the reports, I guess it kind of depends on the way that you look at it. There's definitely problems there in certain schools. What's the name of the schools?
Priority schools? Provocal schools?
No, the schools that are not performing to level. I mean, you know, they with the what do I want to call it?
Like with standardized testing, that kind of stuff?
The testing and the scores and all that, some schools are doing better. And it seems like the urban schools, that's what I want to say, I guess, are not where they should be. And it seems like that's where the majority of the black students are at. So there's a problem there. And they're trying to figure out what to do, to help raise their scores.
The teaching.
You think it's the teaching?
That's what it is. That's.
I mean, nobody can actually go and sit around in each class to see what it is, but there's something there.
Yeah.
Why these schools can't perform? I mean, is it the teachers? Is it the students? I don't know.
What is it about the students and the teachers, do you think, that needs to be improved to improve those reports? Maybe like more training for the teachers, or
I don't know.
I kind of have somewhat of an advantage over being that I'm on the Muncie Community School Board,
mm-hmm.
and we talking about Afro-American students basically scoring lower, or the urban schools, and there's definitely somewhat of a challenge in that area, because when the students come in from the kindergarten to the first grade, it has been known that their scoring or their achievement scores a lot lower. Now, I don't know if it's dealing with the fact that 72% of them are from single parents,
mm-hmm.
but I do know this, but by the time they graduate, they would have made up that difference. We have this term called closing the gap. Well, I went to Garfield, I went to Longfellow, and I went to Washington Carver, and those are our urban schools that's highly populated with Afro-American students, Garfield being number one. But I see that, the students in there, it appears that, and I don't want to blame it on the single parent theory, but there's definitely something wrong with that, and what it breaks down to, or what it boils down to, is just a single parent. Now, this is just from speaking as an Afro-American man, I'm seeing where the father or a single parent or young mothers having babies, and that's what I'm saying. But this is just my own personal. Now I have some statistics that says something to that extent, but not in the words in which I'm saying it. So, and I don't want to be misquoted on this, but it shows that Brenton say maybe it's some teachers. Yes, there is some teachers, but I'm wondering. I believe that every child can learn. Every child can learn, and that's what the P221 is stating, that and that's what the president wants us to do, and achieve higher. And if a school is not doing good, then basically restaff it, after a couple of 3 years or so. But what we need to do is find out what kids and what they can do. We finding out that in these areas that some of these children they slow because maybe it's crack addicted babies, or maybe I'm saying that, but they saying this, but it appears that the children of the Afro-American students, especially over in one particular school, there's direct relationship between their home environment. It just seems like they come in real slow behind the other kids, not knowing their ABCs, not being able to count to 25 or 50 or 100, and that rolling around in that. But on the high school level, we have some teachers that have been into the regime or been into the school system for 20 and 30 and 40 years. The only thing they thinking about is just doing their time and getting out. They really don't care whether or not the kids get an education or not. If they don't like you, they're gonna raise havoc with you, or they send you out, give you referrals and stuff like that. They're not teaching. They're not being challenged, nor are they challenging the students. So we have some of them. Mm-hmm. But I think with the Muncie Community School, I do think with the superintendent presently at stake, that's in office now, I believe that his heart is right, and he's focused, in terms of trying to bring the close that gap, making the curriculum more challenging for our students. I believe that he's looking out for the well-being of our children, and one of the biggest things is to stop the dropout rate and to also the suspension rate by sending the kids to the alternative schools and stuff, so when they get expelled from school, they won't be out for 3 days at home, but they be still having to go to school. So I think there have been some major changes in there, but I must say, yeah.
It's the kids.
So you think the changing structure in home life has really negatively impacted the education that children get at school?
Yes.
Do you feel like the burden, like there's more of a burden on the school then, since the children aren't getting constant reinforcement at home?
Well, I think that, I don't want to say some, not all. You have a lot of, I don't have the papers in front of me to break down just here in the Muncie community schools. I think that if we look at the two middle schools, Wilson has more students who have been kicked out and been in trouble than Muncie Northside. Mm-hmm. And as we look at the two high schools, Muncie Central does worse than Muncie South for some reason. Just in that, but as the graduation and the GPA, Central does better than Muncie South Side. Well, there's my son earlier said it, you can't blame the teacher. It's the student's fault too. And I somewhat agree with that, because the student have to be accountable for his or her accountability at school. The parents can't be there, and once they get into high school, they're on their own. Some of them just waste their time around just walking the hallways or staying and taking them easy classes. Then when they get to college, where they hadn't been challenged, that's when the rubber hits the road, as they say. So I want to get off my soapbox and let someone else, begin to speak some of it, because I talk myself into happiness.
You said that the students are part of the problem. Why do you think students choose not to take full advantage of their education?
They're tired. They just, sometimes, including myself, I don't know, something might go on during the day, and they just don't feel like doing anything, but you got to, but I don't know, I don't know, everybody has a different issue, but that's tired, that's one, that's main. In first period, everybody's.
Oh, they turn off the TV and go to bed. They want to stay up all night long and watch TV on the phone,
Well, I don't know.
Maybe they're not interested in what's being taught.
I know that they're not interested.
Yeah.
And you need to make learning fun, so people that gets people interested when you make it fun. Uh-huh. Some teachers just sit there and hand out, do this, and they don't even say anything the whole time. And kids don't want to learn that way. They get mad. They start talking back to the teachers, and they end up withdrawing out the class, and they need it, and that's how they don't pass.
You think maybe they don't see certain subjects as being useful?
Yeah, they don't. It'd be like, what's the point?
Yeah. What do you think are the most important subjects to learn in school? All of you.
Definitely, math and English, but they're saying science and social studies too. Mm-hmm. But more than anything it's math and English, because I think those two are basically your everyday things that you deal with.
Yeah.
Over here.
What did you say, Mom?
I think math and English are the important, because those are what you use on almost a daily basis, really.
You ain't gonna use science unless you want to be.
But see, the students have to understand. You may not use it on a daily basis, but you have to do what you have to do to get your education. You know, and it's going to hit them at the last minute, and they're going to wonder why. It's because you didn't do what you should have done. You don't have to like the class, but you have to pass the class. So whether you like it or not, do what you have to do to get through the class. It's over with. You flunk out, you need this class to graduate, or whatever, you're going to turn around and take it again. So do it right the first time and get it over with. So they have to keep repeating the class. They have to come to the realization that you have to do this. There's some things in life you're not going to want to do, but you have to do it to get to where you're trying to get.
Getting for real over there, you're getting mad.
No, but I mean, it's like they're not realizing that, you know? And you don't want to wake up at the last minute when it's too late.
Where do you see those students ending up? The students that don't apply themselves?
Staying in school longer, they don't graduate on time, you know? And then you got to deal with, you know, your friends, you know, the peer pressure from them laughing at you and all that kind of stuff. And then I think that's when the light bulb comes on. Why should you have to go through that? You know, let's get it right the first time. Let's pay attention. You don't like school as it is. All you're doing is making it, you know, longer so you have to stay in there. So.
Yeah.
Everybody, Miss Carla. Carla Belinda Anderson.
How you doing? Nice meeting you.
Mm-hmm. And you met Brent once before,
yes,
right?
How are you?
He said, he told me you was cute.
Thank you. Sorry I'm coming in. I just got off of work, and they had me get off at 8, but I had a table who decided they wanted to stay a little longer, so I had to stay there with them. So
my banquet got out late too.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay. Well.
They were just yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, my homework's in the car. All the questions I can think off the top of my head. How long have you guys been in?
About half an hour.
Okay.
So far we've talked about importance of family to education and the importance of education in general.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the important subjects to learn.
Okay.
So, what do you think is most important, and what do you enjoy most in your education?
Right now, history is what it should be important to me right now. History is what's going on. English, history and English, that's the most important to me right now.
Why?
History because of the war, and English because you need to learn how to read things, you know, be able to understand it, and you know, I don't like to read. Read and understand literature.
Do you think that you're being taught what you feel that you need to be taught in your English and your history classes?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, right.
So you mentioned a lack of African American teachers in the school system. How many are there teaching right now?
I don't know the number. I know that we have 2 and 3 schools without any Afro-American representation at all. But I do know that at Muncie Southside High School, in terms of administrators, Mr. Gorns is the only one, and he's due to retire at any time. We're lucky, and I would say blessed to have him. And at this year he can come out, and that's going to leave a vacuum in there in the high school level. I think it's very critical that demographically, I think we 20%, Afro-Americans 20% make up 20% of the schools. It's very important to have that kind of representation, at least at the schools, so kids can look at and look up to and see some role models there in their life. And I'm not even an administrator or any of that nature, but even when I go to school, the kids, you know, they see guys like me and they say, "Wow, hey, what are you doing here?" You know what I'm saying? Because they don't get a chance to see that in the male figure, and especially in male. It's and I would throw out a sales pitch out here, and after coming from Atlanta from a conference, an Afro-American male that wants to go into education can write his own check. He can. And likewise, female. You know, I want to say that because, and we're going to have to find out somehow, in some way, to make the money attractive, to recruit, you know, husband and wife. But to recruit someone to come to Muncie where there's really no social life other than church, you know what I mean? Young people don't want to come here, you know, other than, you know, Ball State, but there's not even a good bar, you know what I mean? Or a nice club if you're in a town. If you want to have a good time, you got to go down to Indianapolis, you know, someplace like that, you know, go, you know, but one have to look at that. This is more of a retiring, very laid back type of thing, city. And I can see why our young people don't want to stay here, because there's nothing happening, you know. And you're probably going to run across that with the business aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. How do you think we could get more young people, especially African American leaders, to stay in the city?
Well, there is a program called Homegrown, and Hurley Goodall that mentioned it to me. Mm-hmm. And that is, you get an Afro-American student that's achieving, that wants to be a school teacher or something. You get them about the 5th to 6th grade, and you work out a deal between Ball State University, since we have a teacher's college right here in town, and you monitor this student and say, hey, look, if you maintain this kind of grade, and when you get to the 12th grade, you will have a full ride scholarship to Ball State University if you will come and teach at the Muncie Community School. By having a student come in, he done grew up in the community, he knows people in the community, he be staying in the community. We taking care, we growing our own students. A lot of states around, from my understanding, like Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon, and all of them, that's how they get their Afro-American people. They're bringing them out, they're offering them some kind of package that once they get out of high school, they go into a 4-year, and then they get their license and all that. Then they have a job waiting on them. So that's like growing your own. And I just kind of wished I had knew something like that. I would have been there somewhere.
Sure.
That's only one way.
Mm-hmm.
Another way is having some people. Now, it's nothing against the Afro-American or the people who the Muncie Community School System have right now going out recruiting. They saying they can't recruit nobody. Well, if you got people that don't look like you coming up doing that, and you really don't have nothing to offer them, they ain't gonna listen. But you take somebody like me that look like them, that talk real big and loud, but also talk with the, hey, look, here's an opportunity of a lifetime with some excitement. We can win people over. We can bring people in. I'm not even a school teacher, but when I went down to Atlanta, I had groups, because you have this, it's like a big market. Where you from? We need this, we need that, we need this. And I was finding out them offering all of these, especially men's, they give you a car, give you a home if you come out and teach in their school system. They were just that desperate to get Afro-American students in their school system. And I said, I'm not even in that area, in that field, but yet they was trying to recruit me. And I let me know right then, right then, I knew right then that it's they're hard up. Now Atlanta, you kind of got to know about Atlanta. Atlanta's Chocolate City. And I went to the outskirts, being that I knew what would happen if I seen it in the inner city. I went to the outskirts. But anywhere, 10 miles this way, 10 miles, it's all 98% Afro-American. For our conservative people who have never been no place, they go there, they have an eye-opening. Your McDonald's, your hotels, your police, everything you see is chocolate. And it's an eye-opening for a lot of people who have just been in this small, been in this box. Are you hearing me, girl? Well, but anyway, that's just one way. Another way is offering some kind of package for them to come. And I think about is when you go out to recruit, you have somebody that look like them with you that's going to draw them. I just wanted to put that in there. Does that make sense to you? Because you want to get in there, huh?
That makes total sense. I've heard about that out in California, that they are offering like cars and houses and things like that for you to come out to and teach. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
You give them a 3-year contract. You sign a 3-year deal. They give you a car and a house. All you got to do is teach. But Brent, you know, you kind of got to look at it now.
You should have became a teacher.
What kind of area you're looking at?
Yeah, you don't know.
You know, you could be down in the Watts. You could be down in the hood. You know what I mean? You know.
What kind of car you drive?
Yeah. Latinos. Yeah, babe, come here. You teach it. I want you. Yeah, teach. You gotta go through all that stuff, man. You wonder if it's worth it or not. Hey, baby.
You could be a really positive influence in that kind of community, though.
Who, me?
Well, anybody. You and you.
Yeah, Brent
If you
can,
be a
yeah.
teacher. Being.
Can I get you anything to drink?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you.
Oh, what about you?
No, I'm fine.
What you bring us from Red Lobster? That's my wife's favorite place.
Really?
She work at Red Lobster. Why don't you bring us a seafood platter?
I didn't even know.
Yeah, all right. You come over here empty-handed.
What area are you, what grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
What areas are you looking into? Like colleges or?
What kind of colleges?
Yeah, colleges or like what business, teaching, architect, anything like that. What are you interested in?
Most likely gonna end up at Bell State, but like I said, I want to go into acting, telecommunications, radio, any mass media, anything like that. Stuff like that. That's what I want to do.
How many African American teachers do you see on a daily basis in the schools?
Teachers or administrators, anybody, or just teachers?
Anybody. Yeah, anybody.
It's like 12.
Central got the most.
Central has got like 12.
Central got the most.
Why is that?
Well, you know, we counted them. I think Southside only got about 7 or 8.
You said that's only like 2.
2. Mr. Gorns, Miss Robinson.
I don't know. But Central got like.
Them are the 2 I know.
I don't know who else is there. Meanwhile, I've been there for a while, so I really don't know.
You know, but all the security guards are black.
Do you think if we called the administration office that they would be able to give us figures? Would they be allowed to release that? Because we were kind of wondering if we could, like, compare the diversity in the teaching staff now to how it used to be. Hurley said that it used to be a lot more diverse, and there for a while there were about 40 teachers of color in the school system.
Yeah.
There aren't nearly that many now.
No.
Central, I can find out at Central. I mean,
well, you know, you're right at Central. I mean,
I can get my yearbook because I got the.
Count them.
Yeah. Well, I know Southside don't have that many. They ain't got no 12. They losing them.
Did you guys have very many African American teachers in your school?
I don't think there were. Not in high school, I don't think there were that many.
In your okay, Central. You guys went to Southside, right? Okay. In Central, we
You want janitors and security guards?
no,
And
just teachers.
teachers.
All janitors.
In your Central, right? What type of African American or Black History programs were thrown in the month of February, and what all did you learn from that besides the knowledge that you already had?
We only had one Black History thing, and it was in March.
Oh, just
We didn't do anything. It was just about 5 people. They came up and they talked about how Black History should be in schools. It's only like for 1 hour, but that's all we did. We didn't.
have anything else?
Do you get very much on a regular basis about African American history and African American culture in your department?
Not at all.
Really?
In your English classes, is that a concern of your teachers? Do you ask her or he, you know, can we learn something about a Native American?
There's some, in the English books, there are a couple of stories in there about Black stories or writers, But other than that, I mean, we don't just study anything like that.
In the curriculum, it you know, here's one thing that I learned when I was in Atlanta, when I toured some of the schools. They interject Afro-American in their curriculum, in the math, in their English, in their science, and the students learn. I mean, these are people they can identify with it. You know what I'm saying? Here, you know, we still dealing with Christopher Columbus. I mean, that's what they taught me. I believe it. I believe he discovered America. I was just kidding. But when he got here, the Indians was already here.
I counted 11.
$11.
11 out of how many?
But that's not just at the Muncie Community School System. That's everywhere. You know?
40 staff members.
Why do you feel that that's a problem? Yeah, I think so. Why do you feel that that's a problem? Getting not just African American history and culture, but diversity in general into the curriculum. Do you think there's a resistance to it?
She's answering.
I'm answering this.
Your turn.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they don't want us to really know what Black people have achieved.
Mm-hmm.
And we have achieved a lot. We've invented a lot of things, and you know, I think that it should be a regular part of the curriculum, not just in February.
Yeah.
You know, Black people are doing things all the time.
Well, other kids was getting mad, like, why? Some people think that, well, some of the white kids at school, they be like, why do they just study Black history? Why not Chinese history? And
that's what I'm saying.
That's
everybody,
good too.
Yeah, everybody should be incorporated. Mm-hmm. I mean, it should. I mean, you know, I don't change the color of my skin tomorrow. I'm Black every day,
mm-hmm.
you know, and you're the same color you are every day.
Right.
So, I mean, we live like this every day. It's an everyday thing. So to me, it should be an everyday thing that's taught.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I know you can't hit every culture every day, but okay, take out some time. Maybe this week we study Black, maybe this week Chinese, so you can get everybody. Because everybody has done something, not just the white race. There's more than just the white race in the United States and in the world, period. So that's history.
Mm-hmm.
Not just one group of people.
Right.
Everybody is history, a part of history.
Do you feel like there's any effort made to try to bring Black history into the schools more and to expand it beyond February? Do you feel like we're just limited to February?
I really think that they're kind of just limited to February. I really do.
I think that too.
Do you have any teachers that are like above and beyond a teacher? Like that you really truly respect them because they're just all-around great teachers?
I mean, there are some teachers that are there just to teach, but there are some teachers that really do care about what's going on in everything in students' life, and that's the kind of teachers that they get respected the most by kids, and that's the teachers that they get the most out of what they do, not the ones that just sit there and they give a referral every period of the day, and the principals know. They be like, something's up if you get a referral, if you send down a student for a referral every period.
Mm-hmm.
So they know, they just like go back to class because they know what's going on. They don't ever say anything, so they just say go on with it, but they know.
Why is it important to you to learn about Black history and Black culture?
Me?
All of you. You can take turns.
You want me to go first?
Doesn't matter.
Here you go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here's one of my quotes. You know, I always be popping y'all, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know where you come from, you'll never know where you're going.
Is that it?
That's it, baby.
That's all you got to say.
Huh?
That says it all.
I feel it's important to learn, like I said, not just only about Black history, but other history. It's important to know where you come from and what you've achieved and what you're going to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question?
Why is it important to learn about African American history and culture?
Why is it important to learn about Africa? Because that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, like you said, you need to know who you are and where you come from. I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're learning about everybody else except for ourselves. That doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I mean, you're learning about you, but you know, you feel like you're left out. What about me?
Do you think that your parents had different kinds of experiences, one of them coming from the South and one of them from Muncie, in their education? We've talked to a lot of people that have moved up here from the South, and they said that they felt like they got a lot more education about Black history and Black culture in their schools in the South.
My mother didn't go to school in the South. She went to school. She came up here when she was small, so her education was here.
Now, I don't know if you guys already talked about that. The relationship between you and Mr. Hurley Goodall is your aunt is his sister?
He is my grandmother's brother.
Okay. Did you get a question about values? I'm trying to think of the questions we had in the chapter.
No, I was going to ask a couple more questions about like African American teachers and stuff. Why do you think it's important to have African American teachers in the school system? Like to have role models for the kids. How is that important to them?
I think that they'll pay more attention. I think as having a role model, somebody to look up to, I think that what they teach will come across in a stronger way, that they'll be more receptive to it.
And more respectful. And I see that in class, that when it's like it's a Black substitute or somebody that comes in, the Black kids and the white kids too, they're more, in the males, Black males, they're more respectful towards them. They listen. I don't know what reason for, but I see that in class.
Do you have a different kind of relationship with your African American teachers than you do with your white teachers?
Some, not all. I'm closer to some. I have only one Black teacher this semester. It's Lauren. I'm closer to some of my white teachers than Black teachers. So I mean, it just depends who they are. If they're a good teacher, period.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that you'll not just spaced out? So, do you think that you will the reasoning for having a Black teacher, and you feel that they'll be more respectful? You think that you'll learn more from them, or I know there's a certain limit that teachers are allowed to teach, and you know they have to teach their certain like say for example, I'm going into teaching and I'm in my English area. Administration says I have to get Shakespeare, I got to get those out within a certain amount of days. There's so many different ways of teaching, but do you think a Black teacher would teach it to you better than a white teacher, or you know, even though it'd be a general subject? Do you think you could get more out of a Black one than a white one, or a Korean one, or a Latino one, or you know, whatever?
I think they would teach it differently than a white teacher, a Black teacher would. I think they would teach it differently, put their little style into it. I think that they would do that. They put their own style, and they would do it a totally different way than what they would do it.
I think that kind of stuff is hard to understand to a certain extent anyway. But you know, if you could, like you said, the style, if they could bring it into modern day, you know, because there was a movie I think he had to watch about Shakespeare, but it was like modern day Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
So if a teacher can get creative and bring it into that, bring to a certain extent even the way that the students even talk now, like what's up, and put it into that, they can grasp it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's, like you said, different styles and different ways to get the message across that you're trying to get across for the children to pick it up. But I think sometimes you have to bring it into the future and not always leave it into the past for them to pick it up.
What kind of values do you think are important to instill in children?
We already know your answer.
All right, now Big D.
I don't know what he's saying.
Is it discipline? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I would say discipline. Values of honesty, values of morality, the value of family. Somewhere I have to squeeze religion in there. I think that's definitely important. Value of work ethics, again, and value of education. I think those things are important.
What values are important to you, Brenton?
I don't want to just cheat my way out and say the ones that she just said.
You agree.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, what she said.
How have you learned those values from your parents? Or from the community in general, too, I guess?
How have I learned them?
Yeah. Like, did they sit you down and say, family's important, or did they show you family's important?
Showed me, holler. Just if I'm wrong, then I holler.
He got to remember that there's 3 people that came before him, so he's coming down, and he's the last one. He have seen them, so he have had an advantage because there's 3 of them have left here hollering, yelling, mad and angry at times, but they're good kids, they out on their own. They basically don't bother us about money. They're sufficient. They're productive. They haven't been in jail. They don't have a bunch of babies. No babies. I mean, for this day and time, like I told my son, who's 27 years old, not been married, no kids, good job. Man, he's marketable. He's marketable. No criminal record. Trustworthy, loyal, work real hard, good work ethics. He's a lovable person, Yeah, he's very marketable. He went down to Atlanta this week. He's on his way back right now to a singles conference. And he's on the bus with, how many girls, Belinda?
About 11.
11 girls. He's the only guy there. I just hope he come back all right. So, I mean, that's...
And it's a Christian complex.
Do you see these values as being pretty universal throughout the community here? Or do you think things are changing?
You asking her, asking me?
All of you.
Okay, well, let me talk for a minute then. I mean, I don't want to haul it up.
Well,
Well, in this particular area here, you know, in this street here, this is a very powerful street. And what I mean by powerful street, you know, I have not only done my research, but I basically know everybody on this street. And this is a great street because of the fact that everyone on here, there's some legacy. And we have 9 couples who have been married over 50 years, 60 years as of yesterday. This family has produced some great athletes, great family values. Basically, everybody on this street go or belong to some ministry. The neighborhood basically watches out for one another. We don't have a lot of break-ins and stuff over here. You know, this street means something in this particular area, Riverview Heights, but some people call it Carver, but it's called Riverview Heights. And in terms of values, when we look across the street, we look at pastors, we look at members that goes to church and very productive working class people. So I look at that and I say in this community right now, we have some great people. Now people come and go, don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying everybody here is perfect because they're not. But I'm saying as a whole, speaking, this is an aging community where there's a lot of people of age are still, or you know, one spouse have deceased, but the others are still hanging on. They are still living in this community. So it's within the next 10 years of between now, the next 5 years, I would say this whole community is going to change. As long as we continue to get young people such as ourselves and just keep rotating and stuff, because it's a great school system, because the kids here go to Washington, they go to Claypool, and Claypool, Northside, and Central, right? Yeah.
well, right here, but across the street, then it's Longfellow.
What do you mean across the street?
On the other side over there, they go to Longfellow.
On Carver Drive?
On the street behind.
Oh.
You talking about Carver Drive, though?
Oh, okay, yeah, but I'm saying one street over, it's a different grade
Okay.
school. Yeah.
So, you know, the community in the whole, that we have some situations where the area is somewhat there's a dark area, but in general, all of it is good, because if you go to the cities, this is like for people who have never seen the ghettos and the slums and badness, I mean, they can't even come out of their house. If you go up and see the Robert Taylor Apartments there in Chicago, Illinois, and go up in that, you know, you don't know whether, you know, you got to have a bulletproof jacket on. You stand a better chance going into Kuwait than over here. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Really? It is bad. But here it's not that bad. Come on now. I'm ready to talk now. My tongue is just getting wet. Carl, I done held back as long as I can. And I can't take it anymore. What's another question?
What kind of values do you think resonate with the African American community in general in Muncie? What do you think is important to people?
In the African community?
Mm-hmm. In general in Muncie.
Well, you know, after being here for some, off and on, some 20-some, 30-some years now here in Muncie, I think I'm considered or classified as a Munstonian. And in terms of the Afro-American, which I think, from the latest statistics I heard, is there about 10,000, excluding Ball State University, 10,000 Afro-Americans. Really, that's not enough to win any major election without the help of Caucasians. And general work and stuff is, I mean, out of the 10,000, there's a high percentage are not working, and a lot of that percentage because they don't want to work. But then again, we have some that do work and do care. So the overall relationship in a whole dealing with the people in Muncie, I would say it's good. But you only have a few that's willing and ready to step up to the plate, whereas everybody else is sitting back watching. A lot of them, if you begin to look at it, we only have 4 Afro-American police officers, and then we have a whole lot of brand new young skinhead guys or Caucasian officers that's constantly being in trouble too, you know. So we got that. This is a small community with a lot of big problems. We're a small community, but we got some big city problems. You know, with anytime we dealing with the drug epidemic here in town, and this is small too. We got some wannabes, you know, but we don't have the hardcore. I would say that. And with that, and with this community, I feel that this community has came together on more than one issue for a positive. I think some great things is going on right now with the citywide Muncie in a whole, in terms of trying to get the city, trying to interact, getting people. But you know, I find out being an Afro-American man, we just don't have enough men to step up to the plate to be men. We don't have enough men and women to want to get involved and help. Everybody's so comfortable in their own little comfort zone. They got a job 8 to 5. They go home. They come back. They don't want to be bothered with nobody else. But if we're going to make a change, we need to extend and stretch ourselves and be able to reach out to other people of ethnicity in order to make this place better. That's me speaking. Now, they may want to add whatever they want to add.
Do you think values are changing in the community as, say, I mean, you mentioned that family structure is changing with a lot more single-parent homes. Do you think that values are changing along with the homes changing?
I do. I think the value is changing somewhat. You know, one good thing about a small community, and you know, there are about 50-some Afro-American ministries here in Muncie. I don't know who's doing the religious thing, but my number might be off. But we used to say it's 52 Afro-American churches. They only have some of them have maybe 4 or 5 people in them, but they consider it a church. You know, the values and when we talk about the value, when we begin to start seeing our young mothers, babies having babies, or young girls, and that's not really the great big epidemic, I would say in here. But when we begin to look at the children's now, and there's a direct relationship between what they're picking up on television and how they dealing with their children, dealing with their teachers, it's somewhat of a downfall, because I think that our children are being brainwashed by sitting there looking at junk, and they're taking in all this junk, and we picking up all this slang talk. You know, and then some of this crazy music we listen to, it has a direct reflection on our children and their values. You know, you catching kids that's doing all kind of stuff. You know, 16-year-old kids is having their boyfriend stay all night, and the parents just don't have no control, and there's a whole lot of stuff. You know, they're going out to the YLC. They're getting kicked out. They're cursing out the teachers. And there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on. The value, it's just dropping. But then again, the teachers, them too. And when the teachers tell you you're never going to be nothing, and you just, and saying you was born to go to jail and to prison and go into hell, you know, that's not helping the students out either. So it's working both ways. So in terms of the value system, yes, I believe the value system is dropping. But it's not just here, it's dropping all over the place. Mm-hmm. We're seeing where children are turning and killing their parents. We're seeing where the parents is killing the kids. I had a tour the other day at the YOC, and I seen a 6-year-old boy handcuffed. He was shackled his feet in his hand with a little orange suit. I said, "No, what did he do? He's just a baby." He beat his grandmother half to death with a bat. 6 years old. So you ask me, is the system dropping? Yes, the value system is dropping. But then again, what are we feeding our kids? What's on the television? This game, all that stuff has a direct reflection on how our children are. The values are dropping. And even, I want to say this too, and Brent, even in the church, we got some children in the church. The parents bring them every Sunday. Johnny, Jeffrey, Susie, Sally. In that church, they act all right. Some of the biggest hell raisers you can think of at school and in the community. And that's true. But then again, that's everywhere too. But it's magnified being that we're such a small community. It's magnified that when we see things such as when a black man gets in trouble, he can best believe his picture going on the front page here. That's a sure thing. Mm-hmm. You can count that and take that to the bank. He's going on the front page. But then again, we've been trying to work with the Muncie, with the newspaper about that, but they say, hey, that's news. They say that's news, But I hope I'm answering some of your questions.
Yeah. Do you feel that since values may be changing with the home structure, that the teachers feel the burden of picking up the ball to try to instill these values in the students? Some of the educators that we've talked to, like Sheila Williams, who teaches at Wilson, and Rhonda Ward with the Community Learning Center at Garfield, say that they do a lot to teach kids about manners, about respect, about having high self-esteem and honesty. They try to bring that into the classroom. Do you see that happening overall, since the kids may not be getting it as much at home? Or do you think that all over training the young is kind of dropping the ball and teaching that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to let Belinda have a shot at it. It all starts at home. Uh-huh. We taught our children values. We taught them respect. We taught them love. We taught all those things fundamentally and gave them a basic foundation at our home. It starts at home, even before you even get to the school. Wouldn't you agree with that, Belinda? Mm-hmm. And we taught them that. Mm-hmm. But what's happening here is these kids nowadays, they never did respect their parents. Now they done had children, and they expect for the teacher to teach them that. That stuff starts at home. They got to meet the teacher halfway. And it's not only Afro-American students. Mm-hmm. It's all of them in general. We got, and it's one thing, I'm from the old school per se, we never did talk back to older people. And if, and you probably heard this before, when Miss Sally said you done did something, your mother gonna tear your butt up because Miss Sally ain't kidding. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We had that type of a relationship. But right now, we have children coming into school that's not prepared for school. They're not prepared educational-wise because they hadn't been learning their numbers, their ABCs. But they can do every dance you can think of on the TV. Oh, they can cuss, do all the rap, and do all that, but they can't count to 100. And they can't say the ABCs. They don't have no, what? Get out of my face. Talk to the hand. Little kids, little kids is doing all of this, and we think it's cute. But what happened is Sally and John and Jim gonna be telling you to kiss their butt when they get 15, 16. Then you can't do nothing with them. Well, you done grew and raised that little Frankenstein. Now that monster's up to age. What are you gonna do? Take the screws out of his head? You created it. You created that little monster. So what happens is, it's up to us to start very young, but the parents gotta be accountable. Now, understanding that every family and every home is not conducive. Well, it should be, but the kids, and really the kids are the ones getting shortchanged because they coming from not some but not all, coming from a bad environment, and then the teacher got to sit there gonna teach this boy with all these problems. And they don't want to be bothered with them. Again, 6 years old in the detention center, in an isolated cell, because he beat. You know what I'm saying? I'll keep talking now. I'm getting ready. My tongue getting wet. Huh?
What do you think about teachers teaching values?
Teachers teaching.
Do you think that teachers?
Go ahead.
Do you think that teachers pick up the ball and teach some of that, or do you think that it's kind of overwhelming for them? Maybe.
To to a certain extent, I think that it's overwhelming. I mean, that's, I guess, part of the problem why certain schools are having certain problems with the kids, trying to get them up to par, that they haven't been taught things, you know, in their younger stages. So, you know, we're behind because you're starting behind, you know, so you've got a longer way to catch up.
I'm trying to think. We had from there was a few questions that Hurley felt that we should ask. One of them was with so far comparing what you've learned from Southside and growing up, and then looking at what your children are learning now in a whole nother school system. Do you feel that they're getting a good education, formal and informal, dealing with, you know, the subjects and, you know, getting enough history or enough English or math or whatever it may be, and then at the same time learning about the respect, the honesty, the discipline, and things like that? Kind of comparing, it's going to be a big difference, of course, because things have changed, but do you think that the major line is, the major, I guess, theme is kind of still there? Do you feel that they're getting that education that you have gotten?
Well, a lot of things have changed, you're right. The curriculum is one of the things that have changed. This new generation, and especially dealing with discipline and stuff like that, things have slacked. When I was going through, they swacked. They took you in the hallway and whack you. Now there's no fear. Kids beat the parents home and get the letters out the box. You know what I mean? Parents not interested in that. For curriculum, I want to stay on that just for a moment. There have been some changes in curriculum from back, I would say, early on to what we're doing now. When we was in high school, we didn't have to have calculus and all of that stuff and algebra. It was optional. If you want to take it, you can take it if you flunk out. But general business or math like that, that's all you needed. It's all required. But now algebra is being required. And the reason why all of this stuff is going on, because of I-STEP. Our students got to be able to pass that I-STEP test. And it's not only here in Indiana, but it's throughout the country. Our president mandated this thing, this PL 2240. PL
221.
Yeah, PL 221. Yeah. Lord, I got to get that right. Help me, somebody. Well, anyway, now our kids, they have to learn it. They have to know. So it's more of a thing. Well, you got so many credit hours, you graduated. But now it's more of a challenge. So this thing is in effect now, and then our students, and I think it's going to help our students more because they're tired of graduating people that can't read and write. That's basically what it boils down to. And we have a lot of illiterate people out there. I didn't apply myself personally like my wife did. Let's just say I didn't prepare myself. I was in love. You know, I had a whole lot of other things. But you know, I made good grades. My junior, senior years, I was A and B honor roll. But look, you know, you got to look at what kind of curriculums I had. PE, you know, gym and, you know, sculpture and arts and stuff like that. And everybody liked me, especially the teachers, because I was a good old guy. You know what I mean? But, you know, things are different now. The curriculum is designed to be a little more tougher. The kids just can't survive off of these little easy credits. They have to learn and know something. So it's more of a challenge now for them to graduate. So to answer your question, you know, from when I was going to school to where my son is, I had it easy. He don't have it so easy because now he has to perform. If I just passed the class, it was good. I didn't have no tests at the end that I had to pass in order to graduate. They do. They got a written exam, and they have to be able to perform. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I probably wouldn't have passed it. But now, as I'm older, and I can look back and I can see that I wish I had applied myself a little bit more. And it's not that I'm like Swiss cheese with a lot of holes in it, because there are some things that I'm second to none at. One of them is arguing. No, I'm just kidding. But right now, dealing with him, it's kind of tough for some of our children, because now my son is strong in, and one thing I do notice, he's strong in the arts. He can dance, he can perform, he can act, he's got talents, movement, got gifts. You know, he got that. But there's no way to evaluate that on an exam. So he's kind of shortcut somewhat. You know what I mean? And then you got some guy or some girl, and it is a brain. They can sit there, they can't chew gum and walk at the same time, but they can max that test. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then when they get it, you hear what I'm saying? So it's somewhat unfair. And then the way the test is, I'm speaking on test, who is the test targeting? Does it have anything dealing with our people, things that we're familiar with? Or is it targeting things that happened during, the Civil War and all of that, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And English, or just straight vocabulary and stuff like that. I'm not saying it ain't important, but does it favor us, or who does it favor? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So do you feel like the tests that are administered in schools really reflect the skills that the kids have, or do you think it's just kind of a test to see how well you can take tests?
I don't think it reflects the skills, because everybody has different skills. Mm-hmm. Like you said, they're not tested on the arts. Yeah. My son plays a trombone. He taught himself how to play a saxophone. He didn't take any lessons. He said we wanted a saxophone, we gave it to him, and he learned how to play that on his own. So, just because you can't pass that test does not mean that you're not a gifted or a smart person, because everybody's gift and talent is in different areas. We wouldn't have the music and all the things that we have now in the arts if those people weren't the best that they are in it. Mm-hmm. So there's more than being an astronaut or a rocket scientist or something like that, And that's what they're focusing on. They want you to get more into the history and the science, because we need more scientists and all this, you know what I'm saying? But we need that part of life as well. We need the arts as well.
When we looked at the statistics for the schools on the Indiana Department of Education website, one of the statistics that they have are like the I-STEP passing rates and failure rates, and like the SAT scores, and the standardized tests are really pushed. Do you think that as schools are encouraged to increase their standardized testing scores, that they may not be teaching valuable skills quite as much? And do you think that affects the Muncie schools and the experience that the kids have coming through the educational system?
Okay, you think they're not what now?
Do you think that as, people kind of look at how good a school is by how well the kids do on standardized tests, and if the tests aren't really reflecting skills the kids have, do you think that the schools might be, teaching to the test rather than teaching valuable skills that will create a better educational environment to the kids?
It's up on my head.
Let's see the record. Okay, instead of teaching how to write your verbs, prepositional phrases, things like that, instead of it going in the creative way and teaching, like you were saying Shakespeare, and how if we were to flip that and make it a hip-hop Shakespeare, and you have to break down what he was saying in this part of the chapter, in the hip-hop way. Mm-hmm. Instead of it teaching it like that, we would have to teach Shakespeare, what did he mean on the test,
Like all those archaic words.
Dissect every single one of his, I don't know what you call that language, but dissect that language. So, where your question is, are we teaching it for the test and showing them how they should dissect the individual word instead of teaching it the creative way and then showing them that way, and then they can take it on from there? I think that's what your question was.
Yeah.
Do we feel that the teachers are doing that now?
Like, is the institution of testing that's become so important to us, is that kind of taking away from the educational experience that the kids
I think
have?
to a certain extent, because of the pressure that it's putting on them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is so much pressure on them, you know. I think it's really, I don't know, possibly creating brain lock in some of them. You just can't think. You know what I mean? I know I've got to pass this, I've got to do this, you know. And I think it just really puts too much on them. I mean, I think kids are under a lot of stress anyway, just to get through school, and then you put this on them. It just, to me, it makes it worse.
Yeah. I just missed it when I was in high school. It was like the year up under me, the junior. I was a senior. In the junior level, they started that testing where they had to pass that test to graduate. And I'm not a test taker. I mean, in class, I do my homework. You know, I'm involved or whatever. But when it comes to tests, I just go dead blank. I don't know what it is, but it's like. But I was so happy when I didn't have to take that test because I knew I was not going to be able to, graduate. And I had a couple of friends who, after me, they had to just keep getting pushed back because they couldn't pass that test.
And there's some students who are on A's, honor rolls and stuff like that, and they're still not passing it. So that ought to tell you something. You know, you're making straight A's and then you can't pass the. I don't know. I just think that creating more pressure is really not helping anybody. And furthermore, like my husband said, I think if you put some of these adults to the test to put it on there, I don't think that they could do it either. I really don't. You know?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them haven't had algebra and a lot of that stuff too, but yet you're expecting these. And I know that we have to push them to learn these things because of the technology and the jobs that are being offered, you know, and they, you know, you need that. So, but everybody's not going into that type of job.
Right.
Everybody's not going to need that. But, I mean, still, you know, that's the way it is.
If you want to go into that type of job, then you should get into that.
Yeah, but, like, that's what I'm saying. But everybody's not, so. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's still going to be a McDonald's. You know, that people are going to be going to. Not that you're necessarily going to need that. But, hey, if you look at it, McDonald's has been around a long time. You know what I'm saying? And some of these other high-tech jobs are out of business just like that. So.
I know, I just took, last fall I took the graduate record exam. It's like the SAT to get into graduate school, and they test you on the math that you learned in high school, and then more vocabulary than you learn in college, and, you know, logical skills that, you know, either you think this way or you don't. So I just really didn't understand what the point of taking that test was. I mean, they're testing so many different kinds of things, and then you end up with this one score at the end of it. What does that mean?
And I don't think that you can test so many different people with one standard test because everybody's different. To me, you just can't do it. You just can't. I mean, you can find out maybe what they know or don't know or whatever, but you cannot, to me, what's the word I want to say? Use. Evaluate a person and their skills and who they are by a test. You just can't do it. You can't do it.
That's true. I'm trying to think of this question. I have a real bad headache on this one side of my head, so I've got a half a brain here. The questions that Eric had put on in the chapter. What were those? Just still want the values? We said we wanted to ask Jay.
Yeah, I think we've hit most of them. Let's flip through real quick.
The chapter's a pretty good chapter.
Huh?
The chapter?
What about it?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I heard. I just got my new hard copy tonight.
Hey, look, it's a lot thinner.
Yeah. Anything that we're involved in, I mean, I think the two of you have worked really hard. I really do. And this is basically the end of it. But I knew going in that this was going to be a whole lot of hard work. You asked me if I wanted to be in on the writing part of it. I'm going to have to say... But I can proofread it and see whether or not, you know... But I have to leave that to somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think any of our, besides Renzi, I believe, Miss Dr. Renzi is, I think he's involved in some of it, but none of the rest of the advisors are doing anything, as far as I know of.
Am I considered an advisor?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I was more. I thought I was higher than an advisor. But you know, I have given you some pretty good advice, haven't I? Yeah.
You and Miss Pryor are main links.
Belinda, it's cold in here.
It's 80 degrees. Turn this down.
I wanted to see. I wanted to see Carrie get dark in here with this heat going like this. Gonna cook her.
Get roasted. I found one thing that we didn't ask. So.
What's that?
Backtrack to values. Why do you think values like work ethic and honesty and respect? Why do you think that's important to the community? I guess, well, first of all, why is it important to you guys?
Belinda, the first thing is because we're Christians. And we can't be one way this day and another way another. Value plays right into who we are, our chemical makeup, the kind of people we are, you know.
I think they help mold and shape you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, into who you are. And I think that you are, or you become a better person when you do have values.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you don't have values, you just go any kind of way. You know, you don't have a, so to speak, a kind of a direction in which you're just out here.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have values, I think that helps mold you and shape you into a certain direction.
That's a good point. And if we look at Iraq right now, a good illustration would be a Scud missile. They light it, it just go anyway. It's aim. I mean, it's just a reckless piece of bomb. But that's why we got these patriots that shoot it down. It go directly to it. Having values is very important, and especially in our family, because we have to have some sense of communication within that family, some kind of structure, some kind of foundation. Our foundation in this house is built upon trust, love, communications, affirming one another, you know, being respectful. So it goes on and on and on, but all that foundation is shaped. It's not just with him, our son him, but it's been with the rest of the kids who have came before him. And it has shaped and focused them. And that's why, and I'm not putting them up or boasting about it, but that's why they are who they are. And now they're out in society, and they're productive citizens. They're not on the government program. They out there working. And they know if they don't work, they don't eat. And to be honest with you, they're not asking us for money. And I think it would I think it really hurts them to act. Now, we, in emergency situation, we help. But it's not necessarily degrading to them, but it hurts them to even ask us for something. But Carl, I don't remember, it never did hurt you to ask your dad to help you fix that car. You needed some help, didn't you?
So did.
Yeah, I knew it.
Comes to certain things, our father has to be there.
Yeah. Well, we do. So value is a very important thing. Mm-hmm. And then we got to look at, and besides that, we got to look at what our country was made up on. Its constitutional rights and where our forefathers, then what did they fight for? You know, the values, our freedom, and all of that stuff is all twirled and mixed up into one big thing. You know. Belinda, you might want to add anything on that? 'Cause, you know.
See if we missed anything else. They asked us specifically about like work ethic. Why is work ethic important, and do you see that that's changing in the community?
I don't think if you don't have any work ethics, you're going to get fired. That's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, they're expecting certain things out of you, and you have to fulfill what they're asking. You know, when you sign your name on the dotted line saying you're going to be there at a certain time, you know, you need to be there, and you're going to do this job, and you need to do it. You know, your break time is at this time, and that's the time, you know, you take your break. And, you know, whatever is asked of you, I mean, they're doing their part by giving you the money. You need to do your part in order to receive the money honestly. So, you know, honest days, what is honest days paid for? Honest days work, yeah. So, yeah.
Do you see that as changing over time here?
I don't know if I can say I can see it changing. There's some incidences with my husband. He has shared with me about people on his that he has hired or whatever, and their work ethics, and they're just there for a short time, and you know they're gone for the simple fact that they're not doing, you know, what they were supposed to be doing.
What do you think? Do you think those kinds of values are changing?
Yeah. Are we speaking in terms of school? Or are we talking in terms of Afro-Americans? Both. Okay. Well, in dealing with the school system, being that I have been there a short period of time, some of our Afro-American teachers have gone on, mostly retired out, and I look at like Miss Morning, you know, she have retired out. We have not been able to replace her with anybody that I know of over to Claypool. Gosh, I kind of lost my thought here for a minute. I want to say something in terms of economically. We just don't have enough people in key positions from an Afro-American standpoint that's in leadership that can really help us. I want to talk about Ball State University. The highest ranking Afro-American is a guy, but he's invisible. There's no social communication between us and him. He's a transplant person from Maryland, but yet he's not in the community and involved. I look at our school system. Mr. Gorns is the highest ranking Afro-American that we have as in terms of an administrator, and then you got Miss Faulkner in there. She's an administrator over the special LE program. Huh? Yeah. Then you got Miss Phelps there at Muncie Central, you know, but she's a transplant, you know, from Indianapolis. She transferred back and forth. You know, I look at that, but I'm looking at key people in the community who have been here that knows the community, and I think that well, their legacy has been good, especially the Faulkners and the Gorns. But Miss Phelps, she's a transplant. But in terms of our economical and seeing the teachers come, gosh, I got off base. I don't know where I'm at now. I'm lost. Help me! I'm just flying like a skunk.
It's getting late.
Yeah, it is getting late.
What is it? What? Have I? Duh. I forgot the question.
About values changing in the community.
Oh, we talked about that one, didn't we?
Work ethics.
Oh, the work ethics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Muncie, in one respect, is a melting pot. You know, the biggest employer is Ball State University. We heavily populated with industrial factories and stuff like that. With them dying out and the businesses going to else place and laying off people, and then we still got that segment of people, I'm speaking internally, totally Afro-American, that won't work, that's on sick leave, that's going to retire off of sick leave, and them not being a factor into help develop and help keep the cash flow economically in the community. I see it right now until some more businesses come into Muncie. I see it being just below. It's not like it used to be when everything was going. Money was flowing, the malls was flying, the women had hair done and all that stuff. I'm seeing it going crazy now. I'm getting sleepy, ain't I?
I don't know where you going. I'm like, what?
Oh, I'm sleepy.
Short answers may help.
Okay.
I think you basically answered it.
Yeah.
Did I?
In so many ways. We got your point on it.
You got my point.
Yeah, I think those were all the questions. Yeah, those were all the questions they wanted us to clarify. Yeah, so.
You had a question early on. What was it?
I don't even know. I'm working half a brain. I don't know what it was.
We all are.
Yeah. If it comes to mind, I'll give you a call. I don't know. What? I don't know.
Is there anything that we've that we haven't touched on that we've forgotten to ask that you feel is important to training the young?
To training?
To education and to bringing up children, and so they know, like, how to be disciplined, how to act, how not to act.
Well, what's your definition to training the young? As a closing remark. Excuse me.
What's my definition of training?
Mm-hmm. Like what it takes. What is it? If you have like one word or a few words to say, define train the young. Or even if you were a new mother and you're reading the books trying to figure out what's it going to take to raise your child. You know, what would you want to see in this chapter? Like,
I guess I want to say involvement. I mean, if you don't get involved, you're not doing anything.
Mine would be, if I had to use one word, and my involvement and help changing or training the young, it would be consistency. And I mean from the very beginning of that child's life to when he's out of your house, and then some. Consistent. We have to be consistent and supporting them. Help them get the education how you did, tutoring them, being concerned about their involvement in the school, and we as parents has to be involved in that too. All this entail being consistent. Okay.
Like you said, it's not just the school's responsibility. It's ours. I mean, you know, they're our child. They're not the school. They don't belong to the school. And it is the parents' responsibility.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for doing our interview.
Appreciate you guys taking out your time. And once again, I do apologize about me running late.
I mean, how many times have you apologized to me?
Man,
I mean, I'm not talking about tonight. When she show up at the meetings, what was one of the first things I said when we started meeting? I said, hey, look.
Were you on your job?
Yes.
All right.
I was
She's
doing
doing
my
what
job.
she's
I was
supposed to
working my
honest